Hello, and welcome to another edition of Pioneer Valley Life. I'm your host, James Sullivan. Usually we are in the studios of Easthampton's eMedia, but today we're on location in Goshen at the Three Sisters Sanctuary. My guest today is Richard Richardson. Richard is an environmental artist, and he is the creator and caretaker of the sanctuary. Welcome, Richard.
Hey, how are you doing today, James?
I'm good.
Good.
Over the years, I've been here many times, and it's just a spectacular place.
Thank you.
For people to come to. Mentioning right away, this is open to the public. We can get into more of that later, but the reason that we're doing this show today is to encourage people to come to the Three Sisters Sanctuary and appreciate what you have created here.
Thank you.
And so I'd like to start out a little bit with some of the history of the sanctuary. You just told me a little while ago that you've been living here for 50 years.
Yes.
So there's a lot to cover, but whatever you want to tell about it in history, go right ahead.
I bought this piece of property in 1976. So it's really not quite 50 years, but I'm right on top of it. So I bought it in 1976. I spent the first 20 years turning what I purchased into my home. And what you see and where we're sitting right now is the outside part of my home that I created over the last 5 years. After I finished my home, I came out here. And when I came out here, it had to do with my brother was sick with melanoma. And I had spoken to him about, it was the last few months of his life. And him and I were standing out on this deck. And I said to him that I was feeling grief. That was odd that I could stand next to him and talk to him about the grief, because he was here and he was more than willing to talk to me about it. So his suggestion to me was, let's put in some gardens. He was a gardener. He goes, and the theory on the gardens will be that you'll take care of these gardens. We're going to plant perennials, and next year the perennials are going to come up, and you're going to take care of them. And when you take care of them, they're going to help relieve that grief a little bit. And then next year when they come back again, it'll relieve it even more because you're going to be nurturing the gardens then. And I did put in those 3 gardens with him, and it was the beginning of what it is turned into right now. I found that when I got out here, I really enjoyed it because for the first time I could throw away the tape measure. You could just throw it away. If you wanted another 5 feet, you could take the 5 feet, compared to being in the house where it was restricted according to the size of the room. And I also had realized that from the time I had spent in the house, there was a part of me that was intrigued with designing things and building things, and I also was at a point in my life where, I had developed some skills that gave me confidence, that almost allowed me to feel I could build anything. And, I had a father that was never afraid of anything, so he did instill that in me. So, some of the projects that I got involved in were like building the dragon over there. And, that was a 3-year project. And it really challenged me to enjoy something that took that long to build. There was something, when you're talking about nurturing it, you're bringing it to life over the course of those 3 years, including crossing over and building a fire-breathing dragon. I mean, it was way too much fun. It was way too intriguing. And we succeeded. I mean, we really did succeed. It's a beautiful, beautiful mosaic dragon with a tail that is 60 feet long, and he's 16 feet up in there. So, I really enjoyed building that, and found that what happened, which was really interesting, is as soon as it was done, and it all was done, people started bringing all these little trinkets that are there. Then the next thing that happened were people started bringing prayer cards. And I didn't know why, but they did. And at first, they would bring prayer cards and leave them there. And I would take the prayer cards and laminate them and put them back out there. And, naturally, the reason for laminating them is to protect them from the weather. Now, people come and they already have them laminated because they really do know they're bringing them back, and they want them to live here with the rest of them. And what is also so interesting is when you go over there and you pick up those prayer cards, you'll find that people have passed in 2016, 2021, 2011, which tells me that as an artist who is creating something that I believe is designed around grief, spirituality, and a place for you to let go of a little bit of any baggage that you are carrying, whatever that might be. When that was finished and that started happening, and I looked at the ages of the cards and everything, and I realized that somehow I had really succeeded. I had succeeded at creating something spiritual that people would say, I'm ready to let go. I want to bring Charlie here. I mean, I wish I could get up and go into the room and bring in a card, and the guy's name is Uncle Jay. Mm-hmm. Uncle Jay, come on. How can you not like Uncle Jay? So anyway, it let me know I was succeeding as an environmental artist who was trying to create spiritual art.
Right. Let me just break in for a minute.
Sure.
Just, can you explain a little bit more about what is an environmental artist?
Yeah. Well, an environmental artist is somebody who works with what they call hardscape. And hardscape are stones, trees, much more textural materials that are provided by nature. There is a very well-known artist, Andy Goldsworthy. A lot of your people will know him. And he's an environmental artist. His artist disappears within about 24 hours of what he creates. He builds nothing that has longevity to it. Mine is just opposite. Mine is meant to be here for generations to come upon generations in the future. So I create with nature. I create with stone. I create with trees. I've planted over 300 trees. I've stood up over 300 standing stones, and built about 7 outdoor rooms at this point.
Mm-hmm. Right, and like you say, there's different areas of the sanctuary. You mentioned the dragon. There's a theater area.
Yes.
There's all sorts of little places to walk around. It's not just something that's can see in 5 minutes.
No.
You'll be here for a while.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to see, and you keep expanding. You're working on a new area even now. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'm also would say to you that really it's like going to an art museum. You want to certain art moves you more than other art. Sometimes you'll stand here and stare at a piece for the next 20 minutes. Other times you'll move right past that piece. So really, when they're out here and what they're experiencing is really according to what it is that their minds are open to and how they're going to look at it. Because again, it is art.
Right. And they may come here one time and like it so much because it's impossible to see everything in one visit. So that's why they're encouraged to come back, because like you say, something might catch their eye one time, the next time they hear something else might catch their eye. So there's so much to see here. It's fantastic. There's just so much to see and experience.
Yes.
And you've done a great job with that.
Yeah. And I have right now, I got a family that's staying here at our Airbnb who, when they came and they showed up, they had 2 little kids. Those kids were running around.
Yeah.
They were totally intrigued with it all. I'm talking about the frogs and the lizards in the water garden. And I'm thinking to myself, these are such cute kids. And honestly, here's what I think next. I said, I remember those sweet kids that came about a year or 2 ago. And I said, oh, they were so sweet. They were here for a couple of days and they had the best time ever. The best time ever. And these kids are having the best time ever. And I was standing up here on the deck and I looked down at the little girl and I had said, excuse me. I says, what's your name? And she turns around and she looks at me and she says, Chloe. And I said, oh, I'm Richard, Chloe. And she stood up and she put her hands on her hips like this and she goes, we already met. We were here already. And it was those kids.
Yeah, oh really?
It was those kids. And the mother this time and the father came back and rented it for 5 days. Instead of the last time it was, I believe, 3 days or 2 days. And so I have wonderful experiences where people do come back. And the mother is back because she can really come out here and allow her kids to enjoy themselves.
Right.
She doesn't have to watch them continually. They have a natural instinct of behaving. Because there's not a lot of other kids here to ignite them or run with them. And so they're much more nature orientated. Right. These are. And really sweet. Yeah. And people do come back, yes. And I meet the same people regularly. I can't say all the time, but I can say regularly I see people that come back. Yeah. Sometimes, unfortunately, just because of our age, I notice people not coming back.
Right, right. But it's interesting when you mention families. It really is a family environment.
It is.
And the adults can certainly enjoy it, but for the kids, it's really someplace to explore.
Yes.
Because it's really new to them. It's new to the adults as well, but the adults are going to see it in a different way than the kids are. The kids are going to be fascinated. They're smaller, the size of the trees, the size of the rocks, where the dragon is, all of that is like they're going to be looking up at it. It's an amazing experience for them to have.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to say is, how did you come up with the name the Three Sisters Sanctuary?
Well, for the first 10 years of building it, I really wasn't building it as a sanctuary or any more than just having a hobby. And then in the 10th year of doing it, unfortunately, my eldest daughter passed away of a aneurysm. And when she passed, again, I needed the sanctuary to heal my grief one more time. And I threw myself into it. But I also have 2 other daughters, and I realized that they were the biggest gift in my life beside my mother. So I decided to name it right after my daughter passed, where I didn't have a name. And then I gave it a name, the Three Sisters Sanctuary, and somehow I reached out to Gary Warner, who owns Goshen Stone, and asked him to if he would sponsor me to build a theater in the Round. And he was one of my daughter's classmates. And he stood right up to the plate. And he sponsored me to build that theater. It took me 6 years. Mm-hmm. So that's where the name came from, was out of grief again.
Yes, yeah. So that's carried over, like you say, other people come here to deal with grief.
They absolutely.
Just one possibility. Yes. Of why people would come here to the sanctuary.
Yes.
Because the word sanctuary does, it's a protected environment somewhat, if you say that. And you, as you say, you're the caretaker. Mm-hmm. So you're caretaking not only the gardens, but you're caretaking people's experience here while they're here walking around.
Very, very well put.
Yeah.
That is very well put. That is exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're right. I take it as I am the steward of the land.
Yes.
You know, that is my
Yeah,
job
yeah,
in this
yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah. And you've, if anybody comes here, which, why we're here today is to encourage people to come here and have a visit to the sanctuary, because we're up in Goshen, which is, the outer limits of what they might call the Pioneer Valley. But not only is this a good place for Pioneer Valley people to come to, but it's a good place for anybody from anywhere to come to. If they're visiting New England, one of the places they should visit is the Three Sisters Sanctuary here in Goshen.
Yes.
And the fact that you have a Airbnb here makes it even more possible for them to do that.
Yes. And to the degree of about 2 years ago, I had a guy come through here who, when he came through here, his name was John Mealy. He was from New Hampshire. And he says to me that day, he goes, I want to introduce you to my son, my grandson. And he says, I'm going on a road trip with them. We're going cross country, and we're going to visit approximately 50 artists. And you are our first stop.
Mm-hmm.
You will be our last stop. And so I saw them in the early spring, and then I saw them again in summer when they were coming back.
Yeah.
So, that was really a very nice compliment, because they were acknowledging me as an artist, and this as an art installation, as they started a voyage to really see 50 other artists. I was really amazed at that. I'm not a traveler. I would never do that. But boy, I admired that in him.
Yeah.
He's doing it this year again, but he's going to fly out and then rent a vehicle and fly back. Where the last time they did all that in about 5 weeks or some crazy time.
Right. So in some respects, this is your gallery.
It is, yes. Yes, it is.
And, people can come to visit the gallery, but the other thing is that you do make the sanctuary available to people for private events to be held here as well.
Yes, I do.
I'm sure people come here to get married.
Yep.
People come here to do all sorts of things.
Memorials, family gatherings.
There's a little, like I say, the theater in the round. I know you've had musical events here in the past.
Yes.
I've had, been here to events that included, bands, food vendors, all sorts of things. A day-long event in a great environment. So you have made it available not only to the general public, but for people to come here and use your gallery, your backyard for their event.
Yes.
As I said, I've been here several times over the years, and I've noticed when I was recently here a couple of weeks ago, there have been some changes that you've made here and there. There's a new little house over here that wasn't there before. The area around I don't know how to describe her, but it's the woman figure with all the jewels attached to her body, and that area seemed a little bit different than it was. So can you kind of talk about some of the ongoing changes that you've made here over maybe the last few years?
Yeah. No changes. None at all. Not one change at all. I only build new things.
Okay.
I don't make any changes. I just do new things.
Okay.
So in the last 5 years, I've tackled a number of wonderful projects. One was this back arena here that I really wanted to build something for myself that it felt like as if it was a carnival wagon to some extent. And so I tackled this project, which also allowed me to introduce abstract art to the house, which is 5 colors and how to make that work. And that actually took me a full 5 years of painting and creating and doing things like this. As we were doing that, I built a steeple outside to give gratitude to the universe for my life. When I turned 70, I built that steeple. And the steeple houses peace and love. I have built a new entranceway over on the far left, which has been a long time in coming. I always built this as the entrance, so it always felt weird to be building a new entrance. But I did build a new entrance. I like it a lot. I have a new art gallery over to the left. The area you started talking about where the ferry house is, that is called the Ferry Villa. That is relatively new. I believe about past the 5 years ago, I did finish a very beautiful labyrinth with 7 lanes in the labyrinth. Very beautiful piece along the low wetlands. Just recently, I've created the Path of Light, which are at this stage 10 beautiful slag glass windows that are approximately 8 feet tall by 2 feet wide on a pathway that natural light go through them. Very, very beautiful in their message that they pass on, which is about doves and in flight and the message that they bring. I have started what I'm calling the Circle of Life. And I know anybody here who knows me, you heard me say many times, I'm done, I'm finished. It's one of my favorite slogans, but I am out of land. And I'm going to be shortly out of materials. The materials I get off of this land, that's how I've been able to build this. This is a stone dome. In 1964, when they built the highway, they dumped all the stone here and covered it. I uncovered it. And that's how I was able to build something with 300 stones and the size stones that we have. Now I've decided, now that I've run out of land, and I know where that is. I know where the dotted line is. It was surveyed, so we know right where it all ends. There's no getting it confused. Anyway, I decided to build a Circle of Life down there. It's going to be it'll be 50 feet wide, 3 circles encased that are going to be vertical stones. A little over 300 stones I'll use in that project, and it's going to start with conception. It's going to go to the beginning of life. It's going to go to childhood, adulthood, end of life, old age. I don't know. What do you call that? Elderly?
Yeah.
That's the word?
Elderly. I like the term elderly.
Elderly, okay. Elderly, and then the last but not least is the exit of life. Louise. That's the hard one. The Circle of Life, I think I got a handle on. Yeah. But the exit of life is the one that makes me a little nervous,
Right.
That's really exploring, doing something that, up until now, what I'm doing down there now, I think I have a real vision on it. I'm a father of 4. I've done a lot in my life, so I think I know what I'm doing down there. But the exit of life is the one that makes me really nervous.
Yeah.
But I'm going to build it anyway. Like it or not, we're all going to get there one time or another, so I'm kind of trying to test the waters.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we all are to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Whatever. We may not be artists, but we still have to test the waters.
Yes. And other projects, for the most part, always finishing things a little bit more thoroughly, tweaking them out, more tweaking than changing. I don't like to make too many changes. They're expensive to build and expensive to take apart and refix. So I try to be as accurate as I can be out there. This time of the year, the ground phlox is blooming. It's so beautiful. It's breathtaking. Breathtaking. The theater in the round down below is just covered in ground phlox up above, and I find it hard to imagine. I decided about 30 years ago that I wanted to build a snow globe. And that the snow globe would encase this piece of property.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. The whole 8 acres, I wanted to put a little plastic dome over it. And I did. I succeeded. You can see that. This is the snow globe out here. And then I decided to furnish the snow globe so that I can live in it and enjoy it. And so, this whole art installation is my vision of the snow globe in the land of Goshen. And I've been a very lucky, or not lucky, gifted man who came to Goshen out of destiny, discovered what my purpose was in my life, and have spent, as I said to you, 50 years now, bringing to life this piece of property that I enjoy so much and that I choose to share with the public and invite them here so that they can come and experience the beauty of nature and the beauty of spirituality, and then somehow the magic of it all. How is it so magical? Well, it's magical because it makes you feel so good. Makes you feel like you're in the right spot for a few minutes in your life. Makes you feel like I don't really want to think about anything else other than enjoy where I am and say to myself, let me just hang out for a little while. Let me just.
Well, there's a modern phrase that says be in the moment.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a guy who lives in the moment. Gets a little nerve-wracking to other people. I had somebody that just gave me a lecture about that because I'm not good at remembering to text right back. And she said to me, you are a guy who lives way too much in the moment. You'll do this and then the next thing you know, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And you forget about what it is. I'm like, well, and I just got that lecture on Sunday about being in the moment.
Well, that could be the artistic temperament as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Right. Well, Richard, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. The website that people can come to is www.threesisterssanctuary.com.
Yes.
They'll see some great pictures. Even in this show, you're going to see some great views of the gardens, of the sanctuary, of the house, the whole thing. But if you want to see more, you can go online. But the real thing you got to do is you got to come here in person. You've got to come to the Three Sisters Sanctuary. It's on Route 112 in Goshen, Massachusetts. So the sooner you get here, the better. But you can come here any time of year because one of the draws of it is that as the seasons progress, the gardens progress as well. So we're here in the spring today and there's some beauty out there, but it's just as beautiful under a snow cover. And so thank you, Richard, for the work that you've done here. Thank you for being on the show today. And that's all I can say.
And can I interject for 2 seconds?
Sure.
I think a lot of your audience have been here before. I welcome you back. A lot of you haven't. What I've created here, I am trying to preserve. So I'll reach out to your audience and ask if anybody's got any ideas about how to help preserve this piece of property in any way at all. Please reach out to me. It's very, very important that it be here for generations to come. So keep me in mind, and if anybody has any ideas, we all live in the Pioneer Valley. We all live in the Happy Valley. Let's make sure the Three Sisters Sanctuary is here for generations to come.